And a good morning to you. Welcome
Good
inside
morning.
the house.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. My son texted me this morning and asked me a really stupid question about 5 after 7. He said, "Are you up?" And I went, "Really?"
PM or AM?
Hey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Pull your mic on just a little bit more. And he said, "Are you up?" And I said, "Of course I'm up." So he said, "I hadn't talked to you in a couple of days. I thought I'd call you." And then he was asking me if he said, "What is the connection in Lincoln to Representative Jason Sane?" And I said, "I know Jason."
Yeah.
I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, I want to send him flowers." I said, "Why are you going to send him flowers?" He said, "Because his name was at the bottom of the list, or the top of the list of who signed off on the sports books being legalized in North Carolina." See, it cleared the House,
Right.
and it's on its way to the Senate. He said, I think that's great." He said, "Because I like to play a little bit," and he does. He does the FanDuel and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
He said, most people, when they're gambling, quit before they win. I said, that's like people that stop drinking and go to AA. You don't want a quitter. You can't be a quitter. I want to go ahead and just get that out there this morning, get you started. I'm doing what I can to kind of keep you on balance here. Anyway, back to seriousness here. I'm not. That's just a joke there. I'm sorry. That's just a joke. I've got a really nice off-color joke, but I can't tell it on the air. There's a grand opening happening today in Lincoln, but it's not a grand opening. It's a re-grand opening. If you haven't been to Vittles is right beside of Burton Farms, downtown Lincoln, across from First Federal, and 3 guys bought that out, and 3 guys I know, a couple of them's brothers. And they have got a new menu, and their grand opening is today at 11:30, and they are partnering with Brick Tree Brewing. Okay, Brick Tree doesn't have food; they do food trucks, but they have partnered with them, and they've developed a mobile app that you can order your food, and Vittles will deliver it down to Brick Tree.
To Brick Tree for
Yeah.
you. That's pretty cool.
It's just a couple blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's a great feature. If you haven't tried Vittles, you need to do that. If you're a liver mush eater, the liver mush sandwich is on the menu all day long. They have foot-long corn dogs. And I can do all this because I outfitted Vittles with brand new shirts for their grand opening.
That's fantastic.
And I got to do some hats as well. So,
But you're leaning forward. You could do that anyway.
I don't know who I am anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, nice morning this morning. I didn't realize we were going to have rain yesterday. That kind of surprised me. We've got the smoke from Canada, in case anybody's counting. Wildfires going on in
There's a lot of that
Quebec,
up there.
I think.
Sorry.
Richie, good morning. Milton, good morning. Sissy Lee, good morning. And she said they have good ice, too. Yeah, and they do. Zipper. Vittles has good ice.
Who said that?
Lindsay.
Yeah, hey, Lindsay. She, there's a little bit more to the ice thing than maybe some people,
Love it.
I mean, when you find a place that's got the ice you like,
Now it's my house.
that's what I'm saying.
I bought one at
but you
Christmas.
transition to, but that's one of those things that, like, if you're having like a gathering or whatever, you can get the ice out of your refrigerator, or you can go get some at like Don's. Or
My wife is
something
really
like that.
bad when you go on a trip. If there's a Sonic around, she likes the Sonic, the Nugget
longer
Ice.
cubes, yeah. That's so
I
funny.
usually get my
Love
Monster
it.
just next door up here at the convenience store because they've got good ice.
Yeah.
It's a little bit larger than the Time store out on Startown.
Right.
So sometimes I'll drive out there and actually get it, which I did this morning
sure.
to ice down my Monster. Andrew said they have liver mush and egg at supper time too. You would know, Andrew.
Oh man, heck yeah! You know what I thought about with me and him and like you, like we take the show on the road and go eat somewhere and then do a live like afterwards or even during, depending on where it is.
It's always about food.
And well, I mean,
It's always about food.
Well, I mean that's one of my fondest memories. And of course, he's still alive. I'm talking about Coach Frank Snyder. He is a like renowned barbecue judge now.
Yes.
And he knows where all the barbecue places are. And I can talk. I bring like from Ward's Barbecue in Sumter. I'll bring him a whole thing of sauce every couple of years. It takes a couple of years to eat it all right, but or to use it all. But that's one of those things. That,
Mm-hmm.
Most time when I see him, we at least talk about it a little bit, or he just brings it up.
Yeah,
but he can do brisket now, and other types of barbecue, not just pork. Right, he's certified judge.
Oh my God,
it's impressive.
My wife has been shopping. She's at the beach, of course.
Oh yes.
Adam Chase said gamblers lose money, successful gamblers break even. Whoa. I'll tell you a gambling story here in just a bit. Lindsay said, y'all, I stopped on the side of 74 and got a take and bake peach cobbler right outside Anson County.
Okay, so that's where that is. I don't know if it was in Richmond or Anson. I've heard about that.
Yep.
Wow.
Best ever, she said.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Milton said he had falling ash when he was mowing yesterday. That would not surprise me. I'm hoping that the rain we've had kind of washed some of that out. My wife said, since the ice machine became a family gift, I broke down and bought me some super cute outfits last night.
Yes.
I hate to say this, honey, but I don't think that would matter. You're going to buy the super cute outfits. She also said, we hit Sonic day one, and you do.
Fantastic.
Richie said, question about weather. I saw that when you see a forecast on an app or the news and it shows something like 20% rain, it doesn't mean there's a 20% chance of rain that day. It means 20% of the viewing area will get rain. That is correct.
Whoa.
That is correct, especially when you're talking about showers and stuff.
Whoa.
That's why when they do 100%, it's not 100% that it's going to rain. It's 100% of the area will get rain.
Hey, nobody's
Did you not know that?
No, I did not. Neither does anybody else. Thank you, Richie. That's a wonderful
Bob said, go Sooners. Undoubtedly, Oklahoma won last night. I didn't get a chance to watch that because they were in a weather delay.
Wow.
Till after 9 o'clock, which is past my bedtime.
Really good.
Yes, that would be 52 straight that they've won would be my guess.
Well, but this is the thing, Lanny, and I'm not downing Oklahoma because they're playing within the rules. But one of the things the announcers talk about was so-and-so transferred from, I'm just giving an example, like Arizona State, and so-and-so did this. I mean, basically it's just putting together an all-star team of already all-star players and forcing the other all-star players out. I don't really know how I feel about that and the reason I say this is because I can look at it as you can from the eyes of a kid that's up and coming and wanting opportunity. But it's like I was talking to one of the coaches. They're doing a camp over at the lab this week, and they have several college coaches over there working it throughout the week. And I was talking to one of the guys, and he said, "Look," he said, "I can't. I'll give you a better example. My brother Aaron was talking to a coach down in South Carolina College of Charleston yesterday before he left and went down. He said, hey, our 2024 team is coming down. They got very good arms. Want to make sure you guys will be there." He said, "Yeah." He said, "We'll be there." He said, "But right now all we're doing is recruiting out of the portal and recruiting junior college kids because I don't know what to tell these high school kids because I don't know where they are, but I can measure where these other kids that are already older are and bring them in." And Aaron said, "Hey, man, at least you're honest." Now, you tell me what's going on here.
Yeah, but here's the deal.
Here's
the thing.
On,
this is the thing, and this is what has to happen.
Going to kill their sport.
Well,
kill athletics.
They won't kill it.
Run out.
They won't kill it if everybody will just be honest and say, "Look, we're getting our starters through the portal," and you go somewhere that says, "Look, we're getting our kids out of high school." And that's the difference. It's the ones that tell you to come play, but they're still pulling kids out of the portal. Yeah. That's where I have a problem. Well, I was down at TRT Trailer yesterday. I had to had some maintenance work I needed to be done. I took my mower and got it serviced. I dropped it off to get it serviced down at Bean Brothers. And then I took my trailer. It needed to be rewired. The wiring had got bad on it down at TRT. Well, those were big Clemson boys, so we were talking about different things. And I've – Andrew, you know this, and close your ears if you need to. I'm not the biggest Dabo fan, even though he's accomplished a lot, and he has, and I'm okay with that. But one of the classiest things he did was when he went to Kelly Bryant, when Trevor Lawrence came in and said, "Look, he's going to be our quarterback. I'm going to release you, and you can go play wherever you want to before you've played too many games." So that was straight up. And if programs will do that and be straight up with their kids, they'll be okay.
Yeah.
So I got to take a quick break. I'm early, but I got to take a quick break. Okay. We'll be back in just a minute.
Whether Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver, or visit mooneyinsurance.com. Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC and the New York Stock Exchange. Sorry, that was quick reaction time there. I had somebody come in and pick up some shirts I did the embroidery work on. And,
and it's unbelievable craftsmanship on that as
thank you very much.
That's impressive.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
You're really good at that, man.
I am. I stitch it by hand.
Well, I mean, I just see you over here,
Yeah, that's me. Mm-hmm.
When I come in and you set it down, it's incredible.
Yeah, thank you very much. Glad to have you in with us. I got some more comments I'll roll through here in just a minute. And I haven't seen this, Lindsay, so I have to check. She said, I'm not a fan of Dave Doran, but I had some words about NIL that he had some words that about NIL that definitely say what people are thinking.
Yeah.
And then Richie said there's also a problem with kids wanting immediate playing time. They get recruited and think they're able to play right away, then get mad when there is a transfer brought in and that will play ahead of them for 1 year, giving them more time to develop. So they transfer out or ask for their release of the NIL.
Now to Richie's point, I do have a problem with that. Okay? I do have a problem with that.
Explain.
Okay, so you got a kid that comes in, right? And they're sitting down.
Are we talking about a recruit coming in first year?
Yeah,
okay.
So you got a high school kid that goes in. And let's say we may or may not have personal experience with this, okay? Comes in and says, we're only recruiting 2 outfielders, okay? We believe that you have the opportunity to come in and play right away. Now, it's going to be up to you and how you perform, obviously, in the growth that you have. But based on what we see right now, there is a good chance that that's going to happen. They hold true to what they got. They bring in you, another kid. You're better than the other kid. no problem. The other boy's a good player too. He's just maybe a little behind, okay, or not right there, whatever, just whatever, for whatever reason, okay. Well, you come in, you practice all fall, you're earning that spot. Come springtime, dude transfers in from Kentucky.
Right.
What does that tell me about who I'm going to play for?
That's what I'm saying. There's got to be transparency and honesty from the program, and
that's what I'm talking about when this continues to happen.
But do you fault the program if this kid is better than what he's got on the field for the program? Where do you draw the line?
All of my experience, Laney, we're talking 30 years, 31 years as a coach, okay? And I'm talking about high school or college ball, all right, coaching college kids or high school kids. 31 years, okay? Also as a player for about 17, so about 3 to 4 years old when I started just in T-ball. What I've noticed is that, yes, I can fault the program because it's not about the best players playing, all right? Because the championships are not won on the field, okay? They're not won on the field. They're won off the field. Now, if the program's goal is to win games and they make that and say, look, championships or whatever, we'll go as far as we can, but we're trying to win games, then I understand why you would have that philosophy. And I still don't think it makes you right, but that's my opinion.
Well,
I have a major, major issue with that, okay? When it comes to, players getting the opportunity.
Stephen, good morning. And I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out. Now, before, when you did the transfer thing, you had to sit out.
Yeah, or unless you got a release.
Right.
So
or if you moved down, you didn't have to sit out.
Right.
So right.
If you move up, you got to sit out. You move down, you didn't have to. And then if you got a release, then you could go side to side, and be okay. So I remember at East Carolina, our center fielder, who was a junior, had been starting for 2 years, didn't start his freshman year, played a lot. Really good. He walks in, looks, coach says, my release at the end of the season. He just didn't get along with him. Yeah, they were two opposite. I mean, it was awful, but he's a good player.
You would think that you could figure that out before you signed.
Very, very smart book-wise. All right, very, very smart book-wise, was an incredible player. Coach didn't have to give it to him. He gave it to him because he's a local boy.
And it's better for both involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this player goes to Carolina, starts immediately his senior year, and, has a tremendous career. He didn't leave because he wasn't getting to play. He left because it wasn't the best fit for him based on the environment he was in.
And
it got worse as he was there.
And I can appreciate that.
It just got to the point where he couldn't.
But that shows me that was caring about the kid.
But Coach Roberts at Carolina made it very clear to the other players, because I know Coach Roberts. He coached my brother Aaron at Ashford after he left Carolina. Okay, and plus my cousin, my dad's first cousin, was a head groundskeeper at Carolina for like 20 years. All right, so, we were down there quite a bit, okay? But the point is Coach Roberts made it very clear to the other players coming in, hey, look, this guy's coming in. This is why he's coming in. He reached out to us. I did not reach out to him. The problem is those are still kind of the rules, but that's not what's being done. It's like, I'm going to go watch these kids play in the summer, and then I'm going to put word through this kid, get in contact with that kid.
We were talking about that yesterday when I was down at TRT. What's happening now is you take a program and they go look and say, look, you only played 2 games last year. I can improve that. You come play with us.
But what's even worse is, that to me is all right because you're seeking opportunity. What's not okay is you have this All-American player at College XYZ that says, wait a minute, I'm going to go over here and play with these other All-American players because this team has got a chance to go to the College World Series if I'm on it, along with the other 5 guys coming in. I mean, why? Why not just have open season all-star teams and let everybody just, okay, at the end of each year, okay, where do you want to go play? Check the box. You got a week.
Well, that's kind of what it is. They've had these windows now.
And that's what's happening. But the point is what is the purpose of all this?
Well, Lindsay said this is what Dorn said. This is Dave Dorn, a quote. I think the intent of the NIL was great for these guys that have a brand to be able to earn money from their brand. I'm really disgusted with college football and how they've turned it into a recruiting piece to steal players off the rosters. Okay, here's the first thing.
It's always been going on.
I'm going to go back to the NCAA because the NCAA didn't come in and put some guardrails up before this ever happened.
But they couldn't, Lenny. I mean, they couldn't because they are a body.
They didn't have the power to do it. I get that, but what I'm saying is
the colleges aren't fault for this.
Right. If they wanted to make sure that it worked properly, they should have had some guidelines, and they didn't.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you got this league over here does this and this league, but yet you all want to play under the same umbrella, and then you want to have a national championship game that sucks because you don't put the best teams in like you say you're going to.
Well, here's the thing,
insane.
And here's the thing too, that is being controlled by the presidents because that's who calls the shots when you're talking about college programs. And the presidents that didn't want guardrails, no, they have unlimited pockets to be able to bring people in to get the players that they want for the programs that they want. Nick Saban has been unhappy now because he doesn't like the way this has turned out. And when you read between the lines, he's losing players to Texas oil money because they got deeper pockets in Alabama. He made the comment when he went to when he spoke before a bunch of boosters, and he said, look, guys, you're going to have to put more into this if you want us to stay on top. He was just open and honest with them. It should have never gotten to that point. That was not the way this was intended. I told you.
Not you, but how did you think this was going to turn out?
Oh, I know. But still, all they did was put the money on top of the table.
All they did was make the larger portions taxable. But nobody wants to talk about that. Oh, it's for the kids. They've been getting that money for years. Now it's just taxable.
Yeah. Travis got a good point here, too. He said transferring is also happening at the high school level. The high school NIL will not help that situation. Here's the problem. It's the same problem, and I said this before. Until you give some control, just like with college football, until there's a centralized control that says, look, all you people play for the NCHSAA, we're not allowing transfers in season. Because this local school district will allow it, and this one over here won't, and they play inside the same conference. It's never going to be equal and fair.
And I've been on both sides of this as a coach. Okay, I have been on the receiving side when kids would come in. Okay, and also I've been on the other side when kids would leave. Like Jonathan Crompton, who was the starting quarterback at Tennessee a few years ago, was a quarterback at Irwin High School. Well, they bring in a new head coach, right? Their head coach, Irwin's, had left. They bring in, I'm new baseball coach there, defensive coordinator, whatever. They bring in a new head coach. He's doing the offense and everything. Next thing I know, Crompton transfers out and goes to the school that his former coach was. His parents got out of their house in the Irwin district. They were gone and moved to basically Tuscola up in that area. And that's where he played. And they were in our conference. I mean, and if he's not one of the best high school quarterbacks as far as polished and, doing all the right things, I mean, I've been on both sides of this. Kids are seeking opportunity. The problem is in public education, all right, is there's so many schools and so many teams that are available. It's hard to hire top-tier quality. Number one, when you don't pay for it, okay? And when you go out on the spectrum and pay for it, right? And number two, when you just have so much of it, there's just not that many quality, experienced candidates to choose from. And so a lot of people do what makes it easy, and they hire the person easiest for that makes their job the easiest and won't ruffle any feathers. And others will say, I'm going out to find the best person to run this program the way that the vision that I have. And then you have it at the central office level where it's micromanaged. Well, yeah, but we're going to be in an interview process too, because this is, the whole point of centralization was to combine resources and add support. When now it's just tiered mandates coming down, right? And it's just overall, hierarchy control of things because of accountability, because under the guise of lawsuits. We might get sued, so we have to do it this way.
Everybody's afraid of that.
I mean, but the point is, why?
But it's because you don't have the right set of rules. Rich said, I think NIL is good for the athletes. I think the transfer portal is good for just what Ford was talking about. The problem is the NIL and transfer portal should work hand in hand, and they don't.
That's a good point.
Milton says just like semi-pro football, and it is. I've always said college football was nothing but minor league football for the NFL,
and that's okay.
Yeah. Andrew said, well, the sad news at this point is the cat's out of the bag, and it's most likely not going back.
Two paces out of the tube. This is the problem. You got to stop manufacturing the tube. All right, manufacture a new tube and have the new paste that you make going into it. Okay? Andrew's right. All right, Richie, great point on the intent of it. The problem is we see now that, and it's just like we say, no good deed goes unpunished. We've probably all been there and done that, right? I really think that things have to have their order, their time, and their sequence, and eventually they will work themselves out because truth always rises and becomes very transparent. What you're going to see over the next 3 to 5 years is continued bad crap. Okay. And then you're going to have a reckoning. You're going to have tiered programs in football like you do in Division 1, 2, 3, NAIA, JUCO that are going to start saying, you know what, this is what we do. We're recruiting you. This is the opportunity you have to be the best you can be. If you don't pan out, then you're out. But if you come in here and you do all the intangibles and you're the type person we think you are, see, as a college coach, especially in baseball, I would rather do that because of the loyalty that it builds. I know that the best team that I've ever coached did not win a state championship. Okay, the most talented team I ever coached did not win a state championship. The best team I ever coached did. Bottom line.
Yeah. Because
they were a team. I was as loyal to them as they were to me. All right, everything was on the level. Everything. We had tiered structure. You couldn't look at me the wrong way. You couldn't back talk. You couldn't even give an opinion unless I asked for it. Everything was militaristic style approach, okay? Truth always led out, my truth.
But all of that was in place before you stepped into it. What happens with a lot of these programs is they're not honest and transparent. You are honest and transparent. This is the way I run my program.
From day one, yeah.
And it goes back to the shifting strike zone. It starts this way and moves. That's not good. Same thing. If this is the way the program's going to be,
right,
and you don't change, then they know exactly what the expectations are when you start.
Yes, and they can adapt to
it's when the expectations change in midstream.
Or the rules change for certain players. He's a great player. Let me tell you something. When we had issues on our team, even if it involved a family member of mine, they were still held accountable. Maybe even more so than anybody else.
Oh, I know that mine were.
Okay. Yeah. Okay? So, when you do that, it sends a message that, wait a minute, this is a level playing field. And see, this is the thing that's different. Every day, everybody tried out for their position. Kind of like in wrestling, you have a wrestle-off.
And tennis.
Every day.
Tennis is another
in practice, you had to earn your position. It wasn't because, you're a good player and you're automatically getting this because you're a good player. My brother Aaron had to slide head first into first, second, third, and home every day, all right? As a pitcher through, upper 80s, low 90s, head first. He had to practice like everybody else every day. You're going to get him hurt. What are you doing? This should be you get. Whoa, wait a minute. Wait. Whoa. we're in war and battle every day.
Right.
If we're not calloused,
It's a great word,
and battle tested every day, then in the end, we will not win the war.
That's right.
So you know what? Whatever. Okay.
Talking about
Whatever.
control. The same thing
Whatever.
on the high school level as the college level. You got the college presidents. Okay. Lindsay said you'll have to pry local control out of cold, dead hands. And that's that way. Everybody wants it to be right by my rules, but everybody's got to have the same rules.
Lindsay,
if everybody don't have the same rules, you can't get it right.
Well, he's right, and Lindsay's right. And the thing about it is, Lindsay, is there's local control is at like the consolidated level at the central office, where if things were pulled back out into the individual schools like they used to be and can be run accordingly, then you have a body of rules and they don't have a choice but to play by it. But when you combine things and you bring in perception, not really, but perception of power, like Lindsay's talking about pride off code, all it takes is one vote and all that goes away. All of it. See, the problem we're at is we got too many positions at central offices across the state, but yet we're cutting teacher assistants out of kindergarten, or they're having to share them in kindergarten, first, second, third grade, but we need this assistant superintendent of this to oversee these things. You don't need that. That's what they go to college for. Get them the help. And the problem is it filters over into athletics.
Sure it does.
Which is a major, major part of a young person's growth and development.
And here's the thing.
Major.
I am a believer, okay, that you can have too much structure and too many rules. Like, I don't like big government. But at the same time, you got to have something. Lindsay said correct we still have the option to pick and choose what we want to control locally and what we want control for us, because we don't want to make tough decisions.
That's what happens.
She works on state level.
No, she's right, and this is what happens. When somebody comes to me and says, well, the committee has decided, I'm like, I don't even want to hear that. All right? I don't want to hear it. Who is the individual that is accountable for this?
Give me the vote. Who voted yes and who voted no?
Give me the individual that's accountable. Well, the committee decided that we're going to – I don't even want to – when you know something's done amateurly, it's done by committee.
Yep.
All right, that does not make transparency a priority.
Yep.
When you want something done professionally, whether you agree or disagree with it, okay, it comes from the top. And there's one person that decides it. Then you know it's professional. You may not like it. You may not agree with it. But at least you know that somebody has made a decision, and you got to suck it up if you don't like it and move on. There's none of that going on. We need a Roger Goodell in NCAA football, and we need him. Somebody like him that doesn't care what the outside forces say, or he gets booed when he comes up on stage.
He does what's best for the league
every time out.
You don't have to like it, but he does what's best for the league.
But he's in charge.
Yeah,
he's in charge.
Yep.
And the players, the reason they quietly like him is because he's turned it into trillions of dollars, and they're getting paid.
Speaking of trillions of dollars, let me take a break, and we're going to switch gears, but we're going to talk about trillions of dollars.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver, or visit mooneyinsurance.com.
Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange.
And welcome back. You can see there's empty cans everywhere up here. We had to restock here, get something to drink.
Golly.
Couple comments. Richie said, you know what happens when you get too many Chiefs and not enough Indians? You get top heavy and then you tumble over and crumble. Milton said administration started as a cute piglet, now it's a big fat useless hog. Richie said North Greenville was ousted from the D2 baseball
really
championship
good.
series in Cary yesterday.
God.
They were going for back-to-back championships.
You know why they're so good? Landon Powell's the head coach there, okay? And he played at South Carolina. He was Ray Tanner's bat boy at NC State. Mm-hmm. And Landon's the same age as Grant, my brother Grant. Well, Landon graduated early. He got his GED in the summer and went on to South Carolina when Coach Tanner got the South Carolina job, left NC State when Coach Avent, who's now been there since, Coach Tanner left. And he went on down there. Well, Landon played in the, pro system for a while. I mean, he was a great player. We played against him when I was coaching UNCA, and we were winning 1-1. And it was the top of the 8th inning. We're playing at South Carolina. We got a boy out there throwing the game of his life. South Carolina was throwing, I think they're number 4 that night, but good, still really good. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's SEC, really good. It's 1-1 us, or I say us, 1-1 going top of the 8th. We don't get it. We're down there playing. We don't get anything. Powell comes up, first pitch, bottom of the 8th, old ballpark, still same place, old ballpark. Hits it over the water tower out there. It's like I say, hit it over. I mean, it looked like it was going that far. And he was a tremendous college player. South Carolina won a couple of national championships and things like that. But anyway, what they do is, I got a couple of clients that their son actually played for him at North Greenville a few years ago, 3 years ago, and they're good friends now. But he does such a good job. He opens it up, but he doesn't have to go out and get anybody. They know to come in because he's a pipeline to helping kids get drafted and signed. And so they cut the number of draft rounds back. They've cut the number of minor league teams, like you had said, back. And so there's got to be a more direct path, and it's more about who you know and how they help you get there, like Alabama, okay?
Just like college football.
Right. And so that is the way he uses that. He has, he doesn't even recruit. His is just kids going in the portal. He goes in. They want to come there. He interviews them, brings them in. That's it. Division II, but yet it's a Division I, type atmosphere. Great players.
But it's the honesty and transparency.
Well, that's the way he says
of how I'm going to run this program.
Right.
And as long as you understand that,
not even close.
And to me, if I'm an athlete coming in, I appreciate that more than anything else.
Well, I just want to be told what the boundaries are.
Yeah, don't paint me.
Don't change the rules because so-and-so's
a
a great player and I'm going to do this. I mean, if you truly care about winning championships, then you do all the things off the field that are important. That way they don't end up in prison or, things like that one day, because that's not you
complete concern for the players involved.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, about their growth and development. They're who they are as people, not as players. And when you cater to athleticism instead of to the person, then you ultimately get, I call it failure. Some people call it, just didn't meet expectation or get as high as we needed to. I call it complete failure. Yeah. That's what I call it. So
2 days ago, this announcement came out. Keep your blood pressure in check. And out of nowhere, Dan Patrick was interviewing Scott Van Pelt from the day before.
Yep.
And Van Pelt said when he saw it, he thought it was completely fake.
Nope.
Which was the merger of the PGA Tour, the DP World Tour, and the Live Golf League.
Yes.
What this about, folks, is money. PGA was bleeding. They threw so much money at them. You don't think so?
Nope.
What do you think?
I think it's about the PGA's inability to adapt and adjust as time has gone on, and then someone that had the pocketbook to come in and offer players salaries, bonuses, all of these things. So I understand why people say it's about money, but I think it's the complete I think it's at complete fault of the PGA.
Why do most things like that fail? Because they don't adapt to change.
That's right.
You don't have to like it.
You don't have to be strong.
But if you don't adapt,
right,
it can go away.
Well, this is our rules, and this is the way we've always done it.
No,
folks, whenever you hear that, okay, that is the first sign of intimate failure. And
they don't know what to do.
They had no choice.
Yep.
And the problem is they tried to ignore it. It's kind of like a debt. It's kind of like debt and snowball. Mm-hmm. One day, all of a sudden you're past the point of no return, and you've either got to sell out or you just got to get out. Mm-hmm. You don't have a choice. And that's what's happened here. This is the way we've always done it. We're going to do it this way. Well, okay. But somebody else is going to come in and take, because they can. What are you doing to offer the most benefits for the best value while maintaining the integrity and character of what you're trying to do? What are, not you, I mean, I'm talking just in general, entity. What is that entity doing? See, what people fail to understand is, like I've heard people say, I'm loyal to such and such high school. I'm loyal to that high. That high school doesn't care about you. It doesn't have feelings. It doesn't have thoughts. It's an entity. It's all about who's in charge and who's in control of certain situations will be what your experience is based out of. So a lot of times people Maiden High School is great to my kids. Well, I mean, okay. Or I heard somebody say Maiden High wasn't any good to my kid. Well, it's not Maiden High, or West Lincoln or, Bessemer City.
Yep.
It's the people that run it. And, you had some players that, with the Live or with the PGA that left because of the opportunity that was given to them. How do you, well, it's just money. Let me tell you something. If you've never had it, you don't say that, okay, when you get it, because it does change things. Money is a good thing. It makes the world go round. It helps a lot of people. And when people obtain money, when they obtain money, okay, for whatever reason, whether it be through a certain skill they got or hard work or whatever, it doesn't change people. It reveals their true character. Okay, of who they are, who they were before they got it.
I can see that.
Same thing when you lose it. It reveals your true character. So, as a man thinketh, James Allen.
Yep.
Book. This whole thing is just, people, and I understand why they say money, money, money. It had to do, there would have never been a Live tour if the PGA had.
Things can't come in and make changes if you've already adapted and there's not a need for that change. That's basically what it boils down to. But here's the thing. This was the question that came up later. And I don't know if you saw this yesterday. Messier, #1 soccer player, he's going to come play in Miami. Yeah. The word was the Saudis wanted him to come to Saudi Arabia. Mm-hmm. They had thrown out over $200 million a year because they've got the money. Mm-hmm. And somebody was saying the whole salary cap for the NFL, for an NFL team, is not but like $225.
Right.
The Saudis have that kind of money. So the question is, when do they try to come in and purchase another league?
At any time. At any time. Because these three have come together, 2.5, 3, whatever you want to call it, doesn't mean something else ain't going to pop up somewhere. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is my point. You know, things are going to constantly adapt, evolve, and adjust. You know, do I like it when things change majorly? No. All right? Because I'm a traditionalist kind of guy, right? But also I'm the kind of person that understands that things will always change. We're in an ever-changing world, and it's how we adapt to things and adjust to it, not whether we're strong enough to see it through. I've seen people in my industry that wouldn't change what they did in 2005 over through 2008, all right, all the way through the, 11 and 15, and then now in 21 and 22, 23. And they, and they can't figure out why their business isn't good. The world has drastically changed. All right? And it's those most willing to change, Lanny, and it's like that in sports.
Yep.
There's all kinds of new ideas, great innovation. And let me tell you something about AI, okay? Very clear. AI is here. It's coming.
It's not going away.
Okay, but this is the thing about it. Because there's artificial intelligence doesn't make it intelligent, all right, and it has no moral character. And what I mean by that is artificial intelligence is going to give you an answer. It's going to give you an answer because that's what it does. It generates a response. Mm-hmm. Now, does that mean the answer's correct? Mm-mm. That's what people have got to understand.
Depends on who programmed it.
All the information, whether there's a bias that leans a certain way towards what this outlook is or what this may be. Mm-hmm. But that is extremely important too with what's coming. Just because something is computer generated through an algorithm and gives you an answer, number one, doesn't make it the right answer.
Right.
Number two, it may be the answer that people want to tell you, but is it morally correct?
There's no moral compass with AI.
Because and that's where I'm getting at with all this. Just because there's loyalty to, like, I'm an Alabama fan no matter what. Alabama doesn't care about you. Clemson doesn't care about you.
Clemson cares about me because I pull for them in basketball, unlike some turncoat Clemson fans. That's all I'll say. Let me catch a couple comments. Administration is too frequently a place where bad leaders end up because they have to be removed from individual schools because they don't have the skills to recruit, retain, or build capacity in teachers. Milton said it is because of tenure or scared to fire them, the fear of the truth finding the way out. Rich said, I think it's about money and what Ford's saying. He said, in short, yes, it's usually at least one, if not many of those things. It's easier to see it in smaller systems, but even large systems like CMS do it. Yeah. Adapt and change or die. That's correct. Right, And my wife posted this one, and I'm absolutely amazed. She said, did you see where the Iron Sheik passed at 81? I had not seen that. Thank you, honey. Bob said, I think TV monies were going to either be cut or begin going to live. Yeah. The PGA couldn't afford to let that happen.
Bob's right.
Lynch said, it is so shady and cruel that the head of the PGA referenced 9/11 families in the original defense of players not going to the live. Then he stabbed those people in the back at the worst level, truly heartless. He's the one that will probably lose his job as commissioner because he completely flipped, and even the players in the PGA did not see this coming. Adam Chase said PGA was afraid of Liv's deep pockets, because they were going to buy sponsorship to get it on TV over there. It was just that simple. Richie said, you know what a boss does. They sit at a desk or behind the door and tell the workers what they should be doing without knowing what the workers do or can't do with the workers. This is vastly different from a leader who knows what the workers are doing and know how to do their jobs. They also roll their sleeves up and help do the work.
Right.
They help pull the rope. I will tell you
they
this.
Say let's go instead of
Richie, my wife said, Richie, yes, yes, and yes. Here's the deal. I have never had a job, okay, that I couldn't do every function underneath that job of the people that I asked to do it. I may not be as good as those people that can do it, but I at least understand and try to understand what they do so that I can make better decisions on a whole because of everything that's involved. You can't make a decision up here if you don't know what everything down here is doing. You can't. I don't care how good you are.
In you know, now I'm 50, so I feel like I've got some life experience, right? Okay.
Let me know how that works out for you.
Yeah. So what I've noticed is over the years, even as a young man, when I was working in the, in the mills, hosiery mills, all right, summer jobs or weekends or whatever, and then off in school working some jobs, on the side, and then coming out into, graduating, coming out and getting employed. What I've noticed is no matter what the level is that you're working, the louder someone has to scream at you or talk to you about what their authority and position is, the actual less grip they actually have on it. And I've witnessed this over, basically 35 years of life. I'm 51 now, so 36 years. I started at 15. And, the people that are, and I've seen it more in the public sector than anywhere. And it's unfortunate because, true leaders say, let's go, right? And then somebody that tries to be in charge as a dictator says, go.
Mm-hmm.
And I really believe that until we get things structured in the public sector and are focusing on quality and value up and down the spectrum, all right, instead of just filling something where there's accountability. If you make a bad hire, on something that you're accountable for it.
I'm going to give you.
It's not that in the that's the difference between the corporate world and private sector and public sector is, and there are differences, and they're not supposed to be the same, but accountability, right, and integrity of what you're doing have to be. They have to be on that same level, or because that's a characteristic of success. Desire is number one of the 13 core principles, but you got to have integrity and you got to have honor. And there's very little.
There's something that a lot of people forget in a leadership position. Okay, you got to have respect and loyalty, but you can either get that respect and loyalty earning it or demanding it. Demanding it does not work. It is only temporary. Earning it, that means you have everybody bought in and everybody understands. Richie said, and I'm going to do one quick comment on this, Richie. Richie said the problem with Saudi-backed sports is how these athletes and others push for human rights. Then they join a league or go to an event that is Saudi-backed, and Saudis do not have the best track record towards human rights. Well, wait a minute. Let me just say this, okay? And I'll get out of my knowledge base, but I'm just going to make one comment about that. You cannot go there because you're making a judgment on somebody when you do the same thing. If you started to look at, I'm going to say 80% or better of the products that you purchase, if you knew the human rights side of it from where those came from, you're as guilty as they are. You can't make that comment because we, as a nation, have pretty well sold out. But we just kind of turn our back on it and pretend like we don't know where these products come from.
Well, but that's only if you're outspoken about it.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Yeah. You can't get up on this pedestal because you're being hypocritical because you're not putting the same line of judgment on everything you do.
But I'm not going out, all right, on a daily basis out in my front yard. Neither do you. All right, on Main Street, holding up signs, talking about this, talking about that, right? Not doing it. I come on here and talk about a few things, right? But, what I think playing in the sandbox is something that we got to get back to, playing in your sandbox.
That's right.
Okay? I just – it's okay to have thoughts and opinions on things. And then what Richie's saying is, you stand up there and you get on a platform because you got one. Not you. I'm talking about
right.
I'm sorry. I'm not talking about Lane. and you stand up there and say, I believe in this, and this is crazy, and all this. I mean, how much stuff did we hear, 2 years ago during the presidential election about how bad things were and all this, but yet the NBA in China and the things that go on there.
And that's what I'm saying.
That's why I don't want to hear that
No,
crap.
I don't either. And the other thing is you've got to be the same thing going back to transparency. You have got to have the same view on everything. You can't pick and choose, which goes back to what you were saying.
Right.
You can't pick and choose the things that you will allow and not allow if it's the same set of rules. You got to follow them all the way. I'll tell you this. One last story before we get out of here. And, Bob, you're right. The Iron Sheik was from Iran. Here's the deal. When I was coaching at West Lincoln in JV football, I had a starting running back, okay? Got in trouble.
Yep.
Got in-school suspension. I would not let him start that Thursday.
Right.
He was livid. Why? I'll be back on Thursday. Doesn't matter. You got in trouble.
Yeah.
You're going to be punished for that.
So?
You play after halftime, but you won't start.
No.
That's not fair. Yes, it is. Because if I let you play because you're a starter, how can I ask somebody else to take my rule and not start because they're not a starter or not get playing time? I said it's the same rule for everybody.
You're part of the team.
And the comment was made, you wouldn't do that if it were your kids. And I had players on that team that said, oh, yeah, he would. His kid's name's probably never been on the board. And that's for all of them, okay? Because when I went to open house, when my kids were coming through school, from the oldest to the youngest, the first thing that I would tell the teacher in open house all the way to high school was this. If you have a problem with my child, you don't deal with it. Here's my cell phone number. You call me. You got to teach these kids. That's not your job. You have problems with my kid, I'll take care of that problem.
Immediately.
That's not a problem. Yeah. There's my cell phone number. You just call me because that's not their job. That's one of the things that we've kind of gotten away from. But I say that, and Lindsay, that's a good point. She said you can't hold morality whenever it suits you.
Well, I mean, it's like putting God in a backpack.
Yeah.
Right? My next-door neighbor, Baptist church preacher there in town, Eddie, he's a great American. Love him to death. I go to St. Martin's, but I heard about a sermon that he did several years ago talking about he had a backpack up there where he said, look, you just can't put God in a backpack and carry him around and pull him out when you need him.
That's correct.
Okay? And we're all human. When that guy from the PGA Tour said that about 9/11 and all that, they're lashing out because they know they've messed up. So they're trying to divert. People naturally do that. When you hear somebody say, well, everybody says that. Everybody says that about you. No. They're trying to justify with higher authority, with more of this. It's kind of like the degree gambit. Having a skill is 10 times more important today, right? In today's world overall than having just a degree, right? That doesn't mean that going to school is not important. It's not what I mean, because it is. I'm a lifelong educator, right? Come from a family of them. I believe in it. What I'm saying is, though, is having that skill is so important, to be able to survive in today's world, because you get paid on your skill level, right? And so, what I think what PGA Tour was, or PGA was doing was trying to base everything on their entity and their likeness.
They want to put those blinders on and pretend the rest of it didn't exist.
And it's a bunch of older people that sit around and talk about nobility. It's kind of like talking about civility in politics. There's never been any. It's always been bad. Now it's just more transparent because we have media, right? Same thing in this thing with them. They felt like the entity was stronger than the individual or the group of people. That is not true, because the group of people are what make the entity, and they forgot
That's where you forget.
And that's what I'm saying. To Stephen Lowe's point.
Yes.
Stephen want to talk about with the guys throwing 90 miles an hour, okay? So many of them throwing 90 today, 100 miles an hour. Are they going to move the mound back 12 to 18 inches? They've already made the bases bigger. Natural progression would be possibly to change the dimensions some. I think they're going to make the plate narrower at some point. Right now it's just 17 inches. I think they're going to probably get it down to 16 or 15 at some point. Okay. And they're going to make them throw the ball across the plate. And I think they're going to tighten the strike zone.
Well, let me say
happen.
this about that, okay? I'm going to flex my baseball knowledge here because I've got so much of it. The problem is I don't think the plate needs to be narrowed. I think they need to be more consistent about what they call. And that's where, of course, I'm a fan of the box.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that because I think it's a great training tool. But the Major League umpires are very, very, very good at what they do. They are very good. The problem is the pitchers are becoming so great at what they do and how hard they throw in that short amount of distance. And regardless of what anybody says, it's still, even though it's coming in there really fast, you still have all the time in the world as a trained hitter to hit the ball. Mm-hmm. You do. I mean, I remember showing a caption of Bonds back there hitting, and Smoltz is throwing like 96, 97 that night, okay? Mm-hmm. And the ball's like 10 feet out in front of Bonds, and he's still here. And that ball ended up in McCovey Cove. Mm-hmm. So don't think, that and it wasn't because he was on
made his eyesight so much better that carrots. He ate a lot of carrots.
That's a whole nother thing.
He ate a whole lot of carrots.
I can't
still got to be able to hit it.
So, anyway, I didn't mean to go off on that. But the point is, to Steven, what Steven's asking is, I don't think they'll end up backing the mound up first. I think they're going to narrow the plate or tighten the zone. If they don't narrow the plate, they're going to tighten the zone where the ball has to be in there. All right? It's got to be tighter, so there'll be a lot more hitting that goes on. One thing that would take care of the speed ball, which is fastball, okay, is going back to small baseball. But because the market does not demand that right now, they demand the thrill. And you end up getting out of something in the end what you celebrate during it, okay? And so when you celebrate things that aren't sequenced and progressional, like getting somewhere too quick and not having the build up to stay there and to sustain it, then you'll revert back to your ungreatness later, because that's where your character is, because you haven't had the life experience to go through those things. That's why all of this push to get kids all this money and do all these things, I understand the intent, but there's a reason it takes years and years and years and years and years and hard work and determination of what. There's 4 ways that Beth Dutton talked about being able to acquire wealth. I can tell you 3 of them. I can't say the 4th one on the air, nor would I ever. Number 1, you basically have to steal it. All right, number 2, you got to inherit it. Or number 3, you have to work harder than anybody else in the world and not have a balance. Like people talk about, well, your life needs to be balanced. You need to have this. Yeah, that's if you want to maintain just
what your priorities are.
Yeah, if you just want to maintain where you are from a certain standpoint and be satisfied and happy. The thing with successful people is they're very rarely happy about the way things are, and they're never satisfied. And that's why they work as hard as anybody else. And work
I don't think you
hours.
should ever be satisfied. I think you'd be happy, but if you're
satisfied.
If you're satisfied, you don't have the effort.
You get satisfied when you're 95. Okay, maybe. All right. I'm just giving an example, but but the whole point of this is
I get satisfied when I'm roasted.
Is we have gotten satisfied. All right, too quickly when we haven't obtained things and not been happy about it because of someone's athletic prowess or how many hits they get on something. That's not sustainable. That is style versus substance.
Yeah. Stephen, to your point, I'm going to give you one more thing to think about as we leave. They're also considering, because of the way athletes have changed over time, of possibly increasing the playing area of a football field because the athletes are so big and fast, needs to be a little wider because they can cover so much territory. Basketball, are they going to move the three-point back? Are they going to raise the basket? Do they make the court larger? Because some of these athletes can go from one end to the other so quick.
The three-point line needs to be at least 5 feet back, and it won't be. And if you do that, then it'll be out of bounds. But the three-point line doesn't need to be in the corners. It just needs to be at a certain section.
A wider arc.
Across, right?
Yeah.
Because what's happened is, well, anyway.
We'll get that changed. Yeah. We'll do it next week. Have a great day.